I never planned on leaving my old apartment, not after finally getting my feet under me after years of bouncing between jobs and leases that always felt temporary. But when my company moved me to the outskirts of Red Cedar, Washington, I didn't really have a choice. Rent was cheaper out there anyway. Wide roads, tall fir trees, miles of silence, that classic small-town American vibe where everyone drives a truck and waves even if they don't know you. Before the move, people at work kept telling me, "Red Cedar's peaceful, man, you'll love it. No noise, no traffic, no nonsense." Peaceful sounded good. Peaceful sounded like a reset. So when I finally found a modest single-story house at the edge of a dead-end street, white siding, a porch swing, and a yard that needed mowing, I thought I'd gotten lucky. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. I'd spent the year prior taking care of my mom after her surgery. Long nights, hospital trips, balancing work and caretaker duties. When she recovered and insisted she could handle herself, I suddenly had no reason to stay in my old city. No friends to hold me back, no relationships, nothing tying me down. I needed a place where I could breathe again. Start fresh. Red Cedar seemed perfect. For the first 3 days, things were normal. Quiet. Almost too quiet. The kind where even your footsteps sound loud. Then came the knock. It was late afternoon, maybe around 5:10. The sun had dipped low enough to cast long shadows through the blinds. I remember I was on the floor cutting open yet another moving box labeled kitchen when I heard 3 slow knocks on my front door. The sound didn't feel threatening, more curious than anything. I stood, dusted off my jeans, and opened the door. A tall man, thin, maybe early 60s, stood on my porch. He wore a faded denim jacket, boots covered in dirt, and a baseball cap with a frayed edge. His silver-brown hair curled out from under it. But it was his eyes I noticed first, kind but weirdly observant. Like he was memorizing everything about me. He smiled. "Afternoon, name's Harlan. I live 2 houses down." He stuck out his hand. I shook it. "Hey, I'm Aaron. Just moved in." "Figured," he chuckled. "Ain't had anyone in this house for a bit. Wanted to swing by, say welcome. Folks round here try to look out for each other. That's nice of you, I appreciate it." He leaned forward slightly. "You here alone?" The question hit a bit odd, but not enough to raise red flags. Neighbors ask stuff. "Yeah, just me." He said, nodding slowly. "Well, place'll feel bigger that way." I laughed awkwardly. "Guess so." He smiled again, though this time something about it didn't reach his eyes. "Well, if you need anything, you holler. We're a quiet bunch, real quiet. But we take care of our own." There was that phrase again, quiet. It seemed like the unofficial motto of this place. "Thanks, Harlan. Really." He raised 2 fingers in a little salute, turned and walked back down the driveway. And that was that. Or so I thought. The next few days were strange. I'd take walks in the evening trying to map the neighborhood in my head, and I never saw anyone. No kids on bikes, no people smoking on porches, no dogs barking from behind fences. The houses all looked occupied, cars in driveways, lights in windows, but the whole place felt like a ghost town. Once I even said out loud, "Where the hell is everybody?" Red Cedar was peaceful, sure, but this was too peaceful. On the 5th day, around 4:30 p.m., I was cleaning my porch when Harlan walked up again. His steps were slow, deliberate. "Hey there, Aaron." "Hey, Harlan, what's up?" He smiled with that same not-quite-right expression. "We're having a little neighborhood dinner tonight. Not big, just some of the folks nearby. Good way for you to meet everyone." "Oh, wow, that's nice." Honestly, I was surprised. I'd seen zero evidence that any living humans even existed on this street. He nodded. "Starts at 7:30, at my place. Just bring yourself." "Sure, I'll be there." "Good," he said softly. "We've been looking forward to meeting you." Something about the way he phrased that made my stomach tighten. "We've been looking forward to meeting me? Why?" But I brushed it off. New neighbors trying to welcome the new guy. Nothing. Sinister, right? At 7:28, I headed out wearing clean jeans and a flannel. As I walked the dim street, the silence felt heavier than usual. The way the streetlights flickered only made it worse. When I reached Harlan's house, the first thing I noticed was the lack of cars. If a whole neighborhood was meeting up, where were the vehicles? Where were the voices? Then I noticed his front door. It was cracked open. Barely, maybe an inch. I knocked anyway. "Come on in, Aaron." His voice echoed from somewhere inside, deep and strangely cheerful. I pushed the door open and stepped into darkness. "Harlan?" I called. "Back here, kitchen." The house was quiet, too quiet. No clatter of dishes, no people talking, no chairs scraping the floor. Just a faint hum of an old fridge somewhere. I walked to the kitchen. Empty. No food, no table setting, no people, no Harlan. A cold feeling punched my stomach. I called, "Harlan?" Again. Silence. Then, a loud slam. I jerked around. The front door had shut. Hard. Footsteps followed. Slow. Approaching footsteps from down the hall. "Aaron?" Harlan's voice called, but it sounded different now. Lower. Less friendly. "Where you headin', buddy?" My heart sprinted into my throat. Instinct kicked in. I ran to the front door, locked. Not one lock. 3. "Harlan, what the hell is this?" I shouted, fumbling at the deadbolt. "I said—" His voice was close now, right behind the corner. "Where you headin'?" I ripped each lock free and threw the door open. His hand brushed my shoulder as I bolted out. But I didn't look back. I sprinted home, lungs burning, palms shaking, vision tunneling. I slammed my door shut and locked everything. My whole body was trembling so badly I could barely stand. 2 minutes later. Bang! He hammered on my front door. "Aaron, we didn't even get to talk yet." More banging. "You ain't being neighborly." I froze, terrified he'd break the door down. Then I heard him at the window, peering in, breathing loud, fogging the glass. "You ain't alone here, kid," he growled. "Never been alone?" He stayed 5 minutes, then footsteps crunched away, slow, deliberate. I called the cops immediately. When the officers arrived, I told them everything, every detail. One officer, a tall woman with sharp eyes, asked quietly, "You say he invited you to a neighborhood dinner?" "Yeah." She exchanged a look with the other cop. "There's no dinner tonight," she said. "And Harlan? He lives alone. Always has." "What about his family? He said his sister lived with him." "No," she said firmly. "He hasn't had anyone living with him in over 10 years. That cold stomach punch feeling returned. "So everything he told me was fake?" "Looks that way," she replied, "but unless he broke into your house or threatened you directly, there's not much we can legally do." I swallowed hard. "What does he do? Like, does he work?" The cop hesitated. "He was investigated before. Missing person cases years back. But nothing ever stuck." My blood went cold. "And he still lives here?" "Yes," she said quietly. "And he keeps to himself. Until now." I didn't sleep that night. Every creak, every breeze against the window made me jump. By sunrise, I had decided. I was leaving. I packed everything I could in 2 hours and got out. Didn't even look at his house as I drove past. Though out of the corner of my eye, I swear I saw him on his porch. Just watching, just smiling. It's been 2 years. I live nowhere near Red Cedar anymore, but sometimes when I can't sleep, I still search his name online, desperately hoping to see an article saying he was arrested. Because I know what he wanted, and I know if he's still free, he's looking for someone else. Someone new. Someone alone. Someone like I was. I always thought the neighborhood I grew up in was the kind of place nothing bad ever really happened. Westbrook wasn't fancy or expensive or anything. Just a quiet, mid-sized town in Oregon where everybody mowed their lawns on Sundays and waved at each other from across driveways. The kind of town where the loudest thing you'd hear at night was a dog barking at raccoons near the dumpsters behind the hardware store. My parents lived there their whole lives. When they retired and moved down to Arizona, they handed me the house. A small, single-story beige thing with creaky floors and a maple tree in the backyard that always dropped too many leaves. I had been living alone there for about 3 years. Still single, working as a delivery driver for a local appliance store, mostly keeping to myself. Life wasn't exciting, but it was stable, predictable, safe. At least that's what I believed until last fall. The first strange thing happened on a Thursday morning, one of those fall mornings where the air feels colder than it should and everything smells like wet pavement. A moving truck was parked across the street in front of the old Miller house. Nobody had lived there for months. I saw a guy unloading boxes alone, lifting them awkwardly like he wasn't used to moving heavy things. He looked normal, average. Thick glasses, short brown hair, plain hoodie, quiet posture. I remember thinking, finally, someone moves in there. I didn't go introduce myself. I'm not exactly Mr. Friendly Neighbor. I figured he'd settle in and maybe we'd exchange a wave someday. But a week later, everything changed. That night, I got home from a long shift. My back was killing me, my hands smelled like cardboard, and all I wanted was a microwave dinner and sleep. When I turned onto my street, I noticed a figure standing on the sidewalk right outside my house. From the headlights, I recognized him, the new neighbor. He wasn't walking or approaching my door, he was just standing there, facing my house, not moving. I pulled into the garage thinking, okay, maybe he dropped something or he's lost, or hell, maybe he's just admiring my mailbox. Chill out. I shut the car door, stretched, walked outside to say hello. And he was gone. Just gone. No sound, no footsteps, nothing. Like he heard me coming and slipped away around the corner. Weird, I muttered, heading inside and locking the door behind me. I didn't think much more about it. Long shift, tired brain. The next morning, though, it hit me again. I stepped outside to grab my mail, looked across the street almost without thinking. His house looked quiet. Blinds closed, no movement. But right as I began to turn away, the blinds of his upstairs window shifted, not just swaying, pulled back. And for half a second, I swear I saw part of someone's face behind them, looking at me. I froze. The blinds dropped back into place, swinging slightly. All right, dude. What the hell? I whispered to myself, but I tried brushing it off. Maybe he was checking the weather. Maybe he thought he dropped something outside. Maybe I was being paranoid. The day passed normally. Laundry, cleaning, a couple hours of YouTube rabbit holes, reheated pizza. Still, every so often that gut feeling poked at me. The kind of instinct you feel before you turn around because you're sure someone's behind you. It stayed until nightfall. Just before heading to bed, I peeked through the front window one last time. He was back, standing at the end of my driveway, facing the house, motionless. Something about the way he stood, the angle of his shoulders, the tension in his legs, made me swear he'd been closer just seconds earlier. Like I caught him retreating after being all the way near the door. My chest tightened, but I wasn't going to be the paranoid, scared neighbor. Not yet. I stepped outside. Hey man, I called, trying to sound friendly. Everything okay? He didn't turn around. He just started walking down the sidewalk like he was suddenly out on a casual midnight stroll. I tried again. Yo, I'm talking to you. He kept walking. Not running, not looking back, just an eerie, steady walk. I stood there halfway down my driveway, suddenly feeling stupid. I didn't want to look like I was chasing him, so I went back inside, locking the door a little faster than usual. By now, that gut feeling wasn't subtle anymore. Something was off. Way off. I stayed awake for hours, checking the windows occasionally, but he didn't come back. Eventually, exhaustion won, and I crashed onto the bed. I wish I hadn't. Sometime around 3:20 a.m., my body jolted awake so violently it felt like someone had shaken me by the shoulders. My heart hammered inside my chest, sweat ran cold down my back. It felt like the air itself was wrong. I sat up, listening. Nothing. The house was dead quiet, but I swear it felt like someone was watching me. Not from outside, from inside. I switched on my lamp, scanned the room. Empty, quiet, normal. But my instinct screamed, "Don't open that door." Still, I had to check. I stepped toward my bedroom door and rested my fingers on the lock. I paused. Something deep inside me, the kind of primal instinct you don't argue with, begged me not to unlock it. So I leaned down and pressed my ear against it. A few seconds passed. Then, creak! A soft, deliberate shift of weight on the hallway floor. My blood ran cold. I dropped to my knees and looked under the door. The hallway was dark, but I could faintly make out the hardwood floor. Nothing. I waited, breath held. Something moved. A shadow passed across the bottom of the door, slow and unmistakable. I jerked back silently, eyes wide with fear. The hallway went quiet for a moment, then footsteps, heavy ones, walking straight up to my bedroom door. I slid backward until my spine hit the side of the bed. The shadow returned, now clearer. Boots. Dark boots standing inches from the door. Then the shadow shifted, lowering, and suddenly the entire bottom edge of the door went dark. Someone was crouched there, listening, watching. I leaned forward slowly, unable to stop myself. That's when I saw it. A single eye staring back at me through the narrow gap beneath the door. Bloodshot, unblinking, focused entirely on me. I gasped and scrambled away, nearly slipping as I grabbed my phone. My fingers shook so hard it was almost impossible to dial 911. 911, what's your emergency? There's someone in my house, I whispered. He's outside my bedroom. Please, please send someone. As I gave my address, the footsteps outside my door started again, moving around, shifting, pacing. Then silence. By the time the call ended, the house was dead quiet. I didn't move until I heard pounding on my front door and a voice shouting, "Police!" When officers searched the house, they found no one. But I wasn't crazy. I wasn't dreaming. I told them about the neighbor. The cops went to question him. I watched from across the street as he opened his door. He looked awake, alert. Too alert for someone answering a police knock at 2 a.m. Conversation happened. Voices rose. One officer suddenly stiffened, turned to the other, and immediately stepped inside. Later, one of the cops explained something that made my stomach twist. When they questioned him about the break-in earlier, he slipped up, said something about my bedroom layout he shouldn't have known. And just like that, everything unraveled. He had been watching me for weeks, maybe months. The police found his search history, my name typed repeatedly far earlier than his move-in date. They suspected he moved into Westbrook because I lived there. He had a history of stalking cases in other states. Enough that they didn't let him walk free this time. They took him away that night. But even after all that, nobody could explain why he did it, why he fixated on me, why he broke into my house that night, what he wanted. The police said I was lucky. I know I was. But luck doesn't erase the memory of that eye staring at me from under my door, or the knowledge that someone could hate you or obsess over you without ever knowing you. Since then, I haven't slept a single night without thinking about it. Even now, months later, some nights I wake up at 3 a.m., cold sweat on my neck, feeling that same instinctive fear that someone is standing just outside my door, watching, waiting, listening. I never thought my life would take a turn that looked straight out of a late-night true crime documentary. Honestly, if anyone had told me that moving for a better job would land me in the middle of the weirdest, most terrifying situation of my life, I would have just stayed where I was, crappy pay and all. But back then, things looked simple. Too simple, maybe. Backstory: why I even moved. I had just turned 28, fed up with my old job in Fremont. Small town, slow growth, same 4 bars everyone went to. I worked in IT support at some logistics company where every day felt like hitting copy-paste on my own life. So when I got an offer from a mid-sized firm in Briar Falls, Oregon, I jumped on it. The town wasn't big, but it wasn't small either. About 20 minutes from Portland, known for its quiet neighborhoods and small community feel. People online described it as peaceful, relaxing, Good for young professionals. Basically the exact opposite of where I'd been living. I found an apartment quickly too. Third floor, top level, in a narrow beige building squeezed between a bakery and a barber shop. Only 6 units total. Small, clean, cheap. It almost felt like the universe was finally being nice to me. If only I knew what that apartment was really giving me. I met my across-the-hall neighbor on move-in day. Her name was Rowena Hale. Yeah, sounded like something out of an old mystery novel, but she didn't look mysterious. She looked hollow. Maybe mid-40s, maybe older. Thin, tall, long black hair that seemed like it hadn't been brushed in days. Clothes baggy like she didn't care about fit. Eyes tired, like someone who'd seen too much life and not enough sleep. She didn't smile, didn't really blink much either. Just stared. Hi, I said, raising a hand. She responded after a 2-second delay. You're the new tenant. Yeah, I know, she cut me off, voice totally flat. The landlord told me. And that was it. No welcome, no nice to meet you, no small talk. She turned and walked into her apartment, shutting the door without another word. I literally stood there thinking, okay, that was weird. But hey, I told myself not to judge anyone. Some people are awkward. Some keep to themselves. She seemed harmless enough. I had no idea how wrong I was. My first day of work went great. People were chill, the office vibe was good, and I actually felt motivated again. I stayed late, trying to make a good impression. By the time I got home, it was almost 8:15 p.m. The building hallway was dim, one light bulb flickering just a little, like something out of an old movie. My footsteps echoed because nobody else was around. I was yawning as I climbed the stairs, exhausted but satisfied. Then I saw her, Rowena, standing directly in front of my apartment door. Not moving, not leaning, just standing. I literally froze mid-step. She stared at me with those dull eyes like she'd been waiting for hours. Evening, I said, voice a little shaky. She didn't respond. Instead, she asked, monotone as ever, is this your usual time to get home? My brain tripped over that question. Not sure yet. First day, you know. She didn't react, didn't nod, didn't anything, just turned away, opened her door, and slammed it behind her. Like I'd annoyed her simply by existing. I unlocked my door, shrugged it off, told myself, you've got a weird neighbor, big deal. But that night, something kept tugging at the back of my mind. Why had she been standing there, right at my door, doing nothing? I didn't fall asleep easily. 6:02 a.m. I shot up from bed like someone had hit me with electricity. The pounding didn't stop. I walked to the door, half asleep, heart thumping, and opened it. It was her. Rowena. Same blank face, same unmoving eyes. What's going on? I muttered, rubbing my eyes. She forced a smile that looked so wrong it made my stomach twist. Come over to my place after work. It wasn't even a question, just a statement. Like she wasn't asking, she was informing me. I'm actually gonna be busy tonight. She turned away mid-sentence and slammed her door again. I stood there in my hallway at 6 a.m., barefoot, confused as hell. Who the hell invites someone that early? And why did she look so off? Something wasn't right, but I tried to brush it off again, get ready for work, pretend it wasn't weird. I wish I hadn't ignored it. A day passed. I worked late again. Got home at 7:15. No neighbor waiting outside. Good. I made dinner, tried to relax, and went to sleep around 10. Then, 6 a.m. again. Same knocks, same intensity, same timing. I already knew who it was. I opened the door. She stood there like a mannequin. Come over after work, she repeated. Her voice didn't rise or fall, just straight, cold, dead. Look, I said, trying to sound polite but firm. I've got a lot going on right now. Maybe another time. She stared at me a second longer than any normal person would. Then, slam. I closed my eyes and leaned my forehead on my door. This woman is gonna make me lose my mind, I muttered. Something about her was beyond awkward. It was unnerving, like she didn't fully understand social cues or like her emotions were turned off. But things didn't get truly bad until the third night. That day at work dragged, and I got home late, around 9:10 p.m. The hallway was dark, quiet, empty. Good. I walked up, reached for my keys, slid one into the lock, and froze. The door was already unlocked. I stepped back instinctively. My pulse moved into my throat. I never left it unlocked. Not once. Only two people had keys, me, the landlord. Unless... My stomach twisted. No way she would do that, I whispered, right? No way. I turned the doorknob slowly and pushed the door open. My apartment was pitch black. I took one step in. The air felt wrong, still heavy, tense, like the room was holding its breath. Then I noticed it. My bedroom door was open. I always left it closed. A chill crawled up my spine. I walked closer, heart hammering. "Hello?" I whispered. And then I saw her, standing beside my bed, half her face hidden in shadows. Rowena, holding a kitchen knife, my kitchen knife. My body locked up completely. My throat went dry. "What the hell are you doing in here?" I stammered. Her expression didn't change, not even a flicker of guilt, fear, or anger. Just blank. "I waited," she said. "Those two words will haunt my dreams forever." That's when she stepped toward me. My body took control before my brain could. I sprinted for the door, grabbed the knob, twisted. Nothing. The knob didn't move. It stuck. What the... She had done something to it. I turned to see her coming at me, knife raised. Hey, stop!" I yelled, panic shooting through me. She didn't stop. But adrenaline hit me full force. Survival mode. I dodged her swing and grabbed her wrist. She wasn't strong, not like I expected. She fought, but wildly, uncoordinated. I wrestled the knife out of her hand, threw it across the floor, and pinned her down with my knee. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't even resist properly. She just looked up at me with that same dead expression and whispered, "You weren't supposed to be late today." My skin crawled so badly I thought I was going to shake apart. I grabbed my phone, dialed 911, and kept her down until the cops arrived. When they handcuffed her and pulled her to her feet, she didn't argue, didn't defend herself, didn't even blink. She just kept staring straight ahead. A paramedic wrapped my arm. She'd slashed the back of it in the struggle. Not deep, but enough to sting like hell. One officer, a guy named Perez, asked me, "You know she's been reported missing before, right?" "What?" "Last year," he said. "Her family said she vanished for weeks at a time. When she returned, she'd be off, like she wasn't tracking normally." My blood ran cold. Another officer stepped out of her apartment holding a box. Inside were old photographs of me, not just from the building, from other places, my car, my work parking lot, a grocery store 2 blocks away. She'd been following me, watching me, timing my movements. Officer Perez sighed heavily. "Her sister says she hasn't been taking her meds for months. She has a severe disorder. When she cycles down, she fixates." Fixates. On me. I looked down at my shaking hands. "She almost killed me," I whispered. Perez nodded slowly. "Yeah, it could have gone bad. When the building maintenance guy came to fix my damaged door, he found a metal piece wedged deep inside the latch. She jammed it from the inside," he explained. "You weren't getting out unless someone broke the door down." I felt sick. All the signs, the early knocks, the staring, the weird behavior. I had brushed them off. I ignored my gut. And she used that time to plan something far darker than a neighborly chat. I moved out within a week. Didn't even finish the lease. Didn't want any compensation, just needed to leave. I still get jumpy hearing knocks in the morning. Still feel watched sometimes when I enter my apartment. But I'm alive. That's enough. For now.